used a Raspberry Pi, which I'm going to assume that you have, you're probably familiar with this, where you SSH, you go to your terminal, your PuTTY, you start your SSH, and this is what you're left with. But programming on the Raspberry Pi isn't good at all, because when you code, the only option out of the box is to code from the terminal window. But that is a horrible way of coding, as opposed to this. This is what I use. I use something called Atom, and when I open it up, what I do is I come down here, and this is what I'm going to be showing you in this video how to do. But I go through these super simple steps, and all of a sudden I've connected to the Raspberry Pi, and this is my desktop directory of my Raspberry Pi. This is where all of it is. So let's say I'm writing an HTML, something on HTML. There's nothing there. Let me do this. Let's say I'm writing some HTML. Oh, here it all is. Easy to edit, easy to work with, and best of all, you're actually editing this on the Raspberry Pi, but just from your computer. So instead of having to edit through the terminal window, you can actually edit with a real editor. So obviously I'm using something called Atom. It's an editor, it's a great editor, and it's free. So I highly recommend you install it, and when you have it installed, you can just use it as a normal editor. Maybe on your Mac or your local device, you have a piece of code. You can actually just edit it on your local machine. But I have something called an FTP editor, which basically lets me connect to the Raspberry Pi on my local network and be able to code efficiently and just save it, and it's on the Raspberry Pi. So let me just show you. So maybe let me go into the desktop, and let me create a new directory. Let me sudo mkdir. Maybe I'll create a directory called fun or something. So it's created. Let me go into that directory, and nothing has changed here, but let me just close out these tabs so nothing gets weird, and let me reload it. And if I look here, oh, fun is here. So let's say I want to create a new file in that fun folder called fun.py. Might have been a problem here, but let's see. Let me ls here. Oh, what happened? No such file. New file. Let me create test python.py. Okay, I know what the problem is, and I'll explain it a little bit later. But there's a really simple way of overcoming that. But let me just come in here and create a file in this other folder. Let's say fun.py. There we go. That worked, and I'll explain in a second why that didn't work. But now that I've created it, there hasn't been an error. Let me ls, and should be there. Oh, I know why. I need to go into the weather folder, and now ls. So now you can see fun.py is in there. So now you can see that basically this editor has the ability to create files, edit files, delete files, whatever you want. So now maybe I'll do print hello world. So if I save it, and now I look on the Raspberry Pi, you can see that it says hello world. So really, this is just a more efficient way of editing code as opposed to this. So what I'm using is an extension of Atom. So if you have Atom installed, I'm going to do command and comma, or you could just go to settings. So there's somewhere here, there's the setting menu. And once you get into settings, click install, and you just want to search up FTP. And it's this one right here by this person, H3IMDALL. This guy made a very good remote editor, and basically how it works is once you have it installed, you're going to want to go to Packages, FTP Remote, and click Edit Server. Now, I already have mine set up, but basically you just name it, host name, pi, the password, check this box, and the initial directory. That's just a feature that I like to have just so I don't have to go through a bunch of folders to get to the desktop. You will want to have a static IP address. That's just something that you should have already. I'm not going to tell you in this tutorial, but you're going to want to have a static IP address. Also, port 22, that's the default port for SSH. In this case, we're just FTPing, but I'm going to click Save. And once you have that set up, once you put in all that information, you just go to FTP Remote and click Toggle. And oh, it just toggled it. It was on. Here we go. Wait, here it is again. So then it might ask you for a couple passwords. Just use the same password as your Raspberry Pi. So there's actually a password that's a security password that this extension uses. So before you can even access the files of your Raspberry Pi, you first need to put in a password, and then they'll let you connect. That way, that's just an extra layer of security. So that's about it, and this just stays open for a long time unless maybe your Wi-Fi goes down or you close out the app or whatever. To save, Control S, and you should get this little notification here. You can disable that notification. Also, I believe that when you actually install this package, this bar here is on the left-hand side. You can just go into Settings, find that package that you installed, click Settings, and all your settings are down here. So you can change it. It's show on right side. So if you disable that, then it'll go to the left side, and so on. So that's it. And oh, okay. So sometimes, for reasons I'm not exactly sure, if you try to create a file, sometimes it'll give you an error, and I'm not really sure why that is. I think it's because there's a duplicate name somewhere. But if it doesn't work, just create a new folder, or it also could be a permissions error. You might need to do a little troubleshooting, but I'm not sure why that happened at the beginning of the video, but this has worked very well for me, and I've been using it for about 6 months now, and I just love it. So I just wanted to share that with you because I was really frustrated because I hated editing code on here. So that's about it. So if you found something helpful in this video, consider subscribing, and yeah, thank you for watching.